read aloud from one of the advanced speaking manuals. The objectives are to arrive at an understanding of the elements that comprise oral interpretation and how it differs from preparation and giving a speech. Learn the preparation of planning techniques of effective interpretation. Learn the principles of presentation and develop skill in interpretive reading with regard to voice and body as instruments of communication. The time of the speech is 10 to 13 minutes. The name of the speech, the project is Read Aloud. That was from the Specialist Speech Manual. And what's the title of the speech?
In a pit with a lion on a snowy day.
Repeat that.
In a pit with a lion on a snowy day.
There you go.
I had the easiest speech in the world to prepare today. Basically, I just needed to pick a good passage from a book that I love and just read it aloud. Now, I do this every night with my kids. Most often it's Batman and Superman. So I thought I'd go a little higher on the educational level and perhaps surpass my own and give you guys something that you'll enjoy. The book I picked today is called In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day by Mark Batterson. It's a book I love, and it encompasses two main points. Number one is overcoming adversity to seize opportunities. And number two, it tells the story of Benaiah from the Old Testament. Now, the book is very dear to me because my youngest son, my 3-year-old, until the next one's here this week, his name is Benaiah. We named him after this character, this obscure character from just a few verses in the Old Testament. So I'm going to read you a short passage from the book today. There's an obscure passage in Scripture that I doubt any Sunday school teacher has ever assigned as a memory verse. It wasn't exegeted in any of the systematic theology classes I took in seminary. It has absolutely no bearing on any major biblical doctrines. You may have read it a few times in a one-year Bible, but it probably didn't even make a blip on your radar screen. Buried in the Old Testament book of 2 Samuel, the 23rd chapter, the 20th and 21st verses is one of the most inconceivable and inspirational passages in Scripture. There was also Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a valiant warrior from Kabzeel. He did many heroic deeds, which included killing 2 of Moab's mightiest warriors. Another time, he chased a lion down into a pit. Then, despite the snow and slippery ground, he caught the lion and killed it. Another time, armed only with a club, he killed a giant Egyptian warrior who was armed with a spear. Benaiah wrenched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with it. Now, it's easy to read verses like this in the comfortable confines of your home or office and totally miss the monumental acts of courage displayed by Benaiah. Have you ever met anyone or heard of anyone chasing a lion? Sure, Barnum and Bailey have lion tamers, but lion chasers? Benaiah didn't have a hunting rifle or a Land Rover, and this was no game park safari. Scripture doesn't tell us what Benaiah was doing or where he was going when he encountered this lion. We don't know what time of day or Benaiah's frame of mind, but Scripture does reveal his gut reaction, and it was gutsy. It ranks as one of the most improbable reactions recorded in Scripture. Usually when the image of a man-eating beast travels through the optical nerve and registers in the visual cortex, the brain has one overarching message: run away. Normal people run away from lions. They run as far and as fast as they possibly can, but lion chasers are wired differently. For the vast majority of us, the only lions we've ever encountered were stuffed or caged. And few of us have experienced hand-to-hand combat that forced us to fight for our lives. But try to put yourself in Benaiah's snowshoes. Out of the corner of his eye, Benaiah sees something crawling. I don't know how far away the lion is, and their vision is probably obscured by falling snow and frozen breath. But there's a moment when Benaiah and the lion lock eyes. Pupils dilate, muscles tense, adrenaline rushes. What a Hollywood moment. Imagine watching this on the movie screen with THX surround sound. Your knuckles turn white as you grip the theater seat. Blood pressure escalates, and the entire audience anticipates what will happen next. Lion encounters tend to script the same way. Man runs away like a scaredy cat. Lion gives chase, and the king of the beast eats man with lunch. But not this time. Almost as improbable as falling up, or the second hand on your watch moving counterclockwise, the lion turns tail and Benaiah gives chase. The camera films the chase at ground level. Now, lions can run up to 35 miles an hour and leap 30 feet in a single bound. Benaiah doesn't stand a chance, but that doesn't keep him from giving chase. Then the lion makes one critical misstep. The ground gives way beneath his 500-pound frame, and he falls down a steep embankment into a snow-laden pit. For what it's worth, I'm sure the lion landed on his feet. Lions are part of the cat genus after all. No one is eating popcorn at this moment. Eyes are fixed on the screen. It's the moment of truth as Benaiah approaches the pit. Almost like walking on thin ice, Benaiah measures every step. He inches up to the edge and peers into the pit. Menacing yellow eyes stare back. The entire audience is thinking the same thing. Don't even think about it. Have you ever had one of those moments where you do something crazy and ask yourself in retrospect, what was I thinking? This had to be one of those moments for Benaiah. Who in the right mind chases lions? But Benaiah now has a moment to collect his thoughts, regain his sanity, and get a grip on reality. And the reality is this: normal people don't chase lions. So Benaiah turns around and walks away. The audience breathes a collective sigh of relief. But Benaiah isn't walking away. He's getting a running start. There's an audible gasp from the audience as Benaiah runs at the pit and takes a flying leap of faith. The camera pans out. You see two sets of tracks leading up to the pit's edge. One of footprints, one set of paw prints. Benaiah and the lion disappear into the recesses of the pit. The view is obscured to keep it PG-13. And for a few critical moments, the audience is left with just the soundtrack. A deafening roar echoes in the cavernous pit. A blood-curdling battle cry pierces the soul. Then dead silence. Freeze frame. Everybody in the theater expects to see a lion shake its mane and strut out of the pit. But after a few agonizing moments of suspense, the shadow of a human form appears as Benaiah climbs out of the pit. The blood from his wounds drips on the freshly fallen snow. Claw marks crisscross his face and spear arm. But Benaiah wins one of the most improbable victories recorded in the pages of Scripture. But right at the outset, let me share one of my core convictions. God is in the business of strategically positioning us in the right place at the right time. A sense of destiny is our birthright as followers of Christ. God is awfully good at getting us where He wants us to go. But here's the catch. The right place often seems like the wrong place, and the right time, like the wrong time. Encountering a lion in the wild is typically a bad thing, a really bad thing. Finding yourself in a pit with a lion on a snowy day generally qualifies as a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That combination of circumstances usually spells one thing: death. I don't think anyone would have bet on Benaiah winning this fight, probably not even the riskiest of gamblers. He had to be at least a 100-1 underdog, and the snowy conditions on game day didn't help his chances. Now, Scripture doesn't give us a blow-by-blow description of what happened. All we know is that when the snow settled, the lion was dead and Benaiah was alive. Now, fast forward 2 verses and see what happens in the next scene. 2 Samuel 23:23 says, "And David put Benaiah in charge of his bodyguard." I can't think of too many places I'd rather not be than in a pit with a lion on a snowy day. Can you? Getting stuck in a pit with a lion on a snowy day isn't on anybody's bucket list. It's a death wish. But you've got to admit something. I killed a lion in a pit on a snowy day. Looks pretty impressive on your resume if you're applying for a bodyguard position with the King of Israel. You know what I'm saying? I can picture David flipping through a stack of resumes. I majored in security at the University of Jerusalem. Nah. I did an internship with a palace guard. Nah. I worked for Brink's Armored Chariots. Nah. Then David comes to the next resume in the stack. I killed a lion in a pit on a snowy day. David didn't even check the references. That is the kind of person you want in charge of your bodyguard. Lion chasers make great bouncers. Now zoom out and look at the story through a wide-angle lens. Most people would not have seen the lion as a 500-pound problem. Most people would have seen the lion as a 500-pound problem, but not Benaiah. For most people, finding yourself in a pit with a lion on a snowy day would qualify as bad luck. But can you see how God turned what could have been considered a bad break into a big break? Benaiah lands a job interview with the King of Israel. I'm sure the bodyguard position was the last thing on his mind when he encountered the lion. But Benaiah wasn't just chasing a lion. Benaiah was chasing a position in David's administration. Here's the point. God is in the resume building business. He is always using past experiences to prepare us for future opportunities. But those God-given opportunities often come disguised as man-eating lions. And how we react when we encounter those lions will determine our destiny. We can cower in fear and run away from our greatest challenges, or we can chase our God-ordained destiny by seizing the God-ordained opportunity. As I look back on my own life, I recognize this simple truth. The greatest opportunities were the scariest lions. Part of me has wanted to play it safe, but I've learned that taking no risk is the greatest risk of all. Now, I hope you enjoyed that passage. Like I said, it's a wonderful book. It teaches you how to chase the own lions in your life, but I really enjoyed it mainly because I named my son after this character, and it gave me a very deep, intense knowledge of this character that I've never had before. Thank you, Toastmasters.